Hey Comeca family, welcome back to another edition of the Comeca Connection. Today we are diving right back into parables, and I want to bring you guys to the parable of the vineyard workers. And that is in Matthew, and so it's Matthew chapter 20, and it's verse 1 through 16, which is the whole parable. And so I'll go ahead and start, and then you guys can catch up. And so it says this. For the kingdom of heaven is like a landowner who went out early in the morning to hire laborers for his vineyard. Now, when he agreed with the laborers for a denarius a day, he sent them into his vineyard. And he went out about the third hour and saw others standing idle in the marketplace, and said to them, You also go into the vineyard, and whatever is right I will give you. So they went. Again he went out about the 6th and 9th hour, and did likewise. And about the 11th hour he went out and found others standing idle, and said to them, Why have you been standing here idle all day? They said to him, Because no one hired us. He said to them, You also go into the vineyard, and whatever is right you will receive. So when evening came, the owner of the vineyard said to the steward, Call the laborers and give them their wages, beginning with the last to the first. And when those who were hired about the 11th hour, they each received a denarius. But when the first came, they supposed that they would receive more. And they likewise received each a denarius. And when they received it, they complained against the landowner, saying, These last men have worked only 1 hour, and you made them equal to us, who have borne the burden and the heat of the day. But he answered one of them and said, Friend, I am doing you no wrong. Did you not agree with me for a denarius? Take what is yours and go your way. I wish to give the last men the same as you. Is it not lawful for me to do what I wish with my own things? But is your eye evil because I am good? So last will be first, and the first last. For many are called, but few are chosen. Now, I know you guys may not have that in your Bible, but I have this little footnote in mine where it talks about grace and wages. And the biggest thing about this whole part is these laborers, they're not doing anything. And so when the master goes to the marketplace, he sees that they're unemployed, they're not doing anything, and he, out of the kindness of his heart, offers them a position. And he says, hey, for a denarius a day, go work in my vineyard. And they're like, okay, sounds good. And he continues to do this throughout the day. And on the 11th hour, he does the same thing. And he's asked the same people, hey, why haven't you found a job? Why aren't you working? And they're like, nobody's hired us. So he gives them also a job. And while they've only worked an hour, he goes out and goes ahead and says, hey, pay them first. And then the people that were hired first, they get paid last. And they were all distraught and they were upset that they only got paid, what they agreed upon at the beginning of the day. Even though we see, for those that were paid later on in the day, he said, and whatever is right, you will receive. And so they didn't actually make an amount. They didn't say, hey, I'm going to pay you a denarius. They just said, hey, whatever you feel is right, you'll receive it. And and Jesus wants to remind us that, sometimes we forget some of the goodwill that comes from people that are giving things out to us. And as it turns out, he pays everybody for a full day's wage. And it is it's a great reminder of the kingdom of heaven, where, we receive the grace not because of what we've done for it. We receive the grace because we are all people of his kingdom, and it's not because of our unworthiness. Just because some people have found him earlier or found him later, you still receive that same grace. And I want you guys to remember that no matter when you've come to Christ or when you are struggling to see him, is that he is always constant. And to remember that he's going to give the grace of God to you. Thank you guys so much, and we'll see you tomorrow.